Welcome to WealthX Africa. Today we want to go on want to continue on build-out operating system. In our first two pillars, we understand that builder need to see what others don't see. So if you are seeing what others are seeing, there's no value in it. If you can see what others don't see, that is where you can build value. So in the C, we say that you can see opportunity, you can see many things as a builder. But today and the last week we spoke about the move. So the builder needs to move, because if you don't move, nothing spectacular will happen if you don't move. So you need to understand that movement is a prerequisite to success. And then if you can't move, there's nothing that will really happen as a builder. So you have to move. So movement is very, very key for every builder. And today we are going a step further, which is pillar 3. So in pillar 3, we understand that BOS, Builder Operating System, pillar 3. So which is position. So it's position. Builder Operating System, pillar 3 is position. And then we understand that position is architecture of access. So if you position well, there are going to be access. And if you don't position well, there's not going to be access. So we understand that life is not literally be on effort. So some people, they rely on effort, how hard I can work determine my success. So if I work harder, there will be something that I can show for it. But if I work hard enough, long enough, something will eventually change. But that's not the law of success. Time doesn't really change things. So I usually say that it is not enough to climb the ladder. So if you climb the ladder, it's not enough. But ensure that your ladder is lean against the right wall. So if your ladder lean against the wrong wall, so when you get into the top, you discover that you wasted some time. So let's say someone is climbing. You are climbing up to this mountain, and you rely on your strength. You rely on your strength. So before you can climb this mountain now, you rely on effort. But some people, they don't need that. All they need to do is to strategically position themselves where many people are giving them a lot of access. Many people is giving them a lot of access. So positioning matters. Positioning matters a lot. Where you see yourself, it matters a lot. Why? Because if you are relying on your efforts, it's like you are trying to climb a mountain. But when you position yourself that you are just at strategic location that's very good for what you are doing, that is better. And that is what we are trying to do today. What is position? We are coming to that. So there's difference between movement and position. Difference between movement and position. You can move, but movement with intention is position. You can move, but if you don't move to the right place, you just waste your movement. So movement is changing place. When you move, you change your place. That is it. And then when you position, you change access. When you move from A to B, you change your place. You just change your place. You change, maybe you move from Lagos to Ibadan. You just change your place. Movement deals with places. But when you position, you change the access of the people that you see. You change the access of who sees you. You change the access of people that you connected to. So let's say you are working with A, B, and C before, and then those people, they are not taking you to where you want to be in life. So when you position, you literally change them, and you begin to move with Z, Q, and I. So that means when you change those people, instead of changing places like Lagos, some people, they think that to change places is movement. No. I mean, to change places is success. No. If you change places, you can change place and still remain poor. Are we getting it? So you can change place and still remain poor. We see many people that travel abroad and they are not really doing anything. Why? Because they were thinking that success is equals to location, and success is not equal to location. So it is the access that you have in that location that matters. So if you relocate without wrong positioning, it's not good. So, and then you need to understand that people usually pursue place. Many people are pursuing place. They are pursuing place, but only the builder pursue access. You need to do. Some people, they pay for some conferences just because they want to have the access to the to the convener of that conference. Some people, they go to churches just because they want to have connection with the people. Some people, they move from one location in a city and they move to another location in a city just because they know that there are strategic people at that location that can influence their business, their career, and everything. So that's why you see some people, they pay extra mile to put their children in school. They are not putting them in ordinary school. They put them in maybe some private university. Why? Because they understand that they need to position those children. Because if they position them, if those children go to normal higher institution, they mingle with the poor people. But if they go to the private university, there's a chances that they mingle with the children of high net worth individuals. So that is positioning, and that's what many people do. So we need to understand that every survivor, they wait for opportunity, but the builders, they don't wait for opportunity, they create one. And they position for opportunity. You know, when you position yourself before opportunity, it is easier because opportunity is coming to your way. And then when you position for opportunity, we are going to see the 4 dimension of positioning. Part of the dimension of positioning is preparation. Preparation. That's another part of positioning is preparation. We are coming to that. So builders position themselves for opportunity. They don't wait for them. How many of us are waiting for opportunity today? If I can get S, I will get Y, and then I'll become Z. So that is what many people are doing. So how can I work harder? That is survival mode. How can I work harder? How can I work harder? You know, but for the builders mode, they will understand that where can I position myself? They will be constantly thinking, who are the people that I need to mingle with? Which place do I need to go? Even if it costs them extra penny to put themselves there, they will do that. That is positioning. It can cost them extra thing to get to where they are going, but they will still do it. That is positioning. And then they intentionally build life that attracts opportunities. Positioning, they build life that attract opportunities. You know, when you go to high-level conference, so they can charge you for maybe 500,000 to enter the conference. And maybe probably what they are saying in the conference, you are familiar with it. But you understand that people that attended the conference, you have chances to mingle with them. And then if there may not be any chance to have a concentrated of a builders, concentrated of people that have that are working on the same frequency. So that's why people charge high for conferences. Why? Because they know that apart from what you are going to learn from that conference, you are going to position yourself. Maybe you are trying to float a company now, and you put yourself in a conference that have many high network people. So you have opportunity to explain your business. You just pitch your business to anyone, and someone can just catch up and say, okay, I have interest in your business. Okay, let's see what's going to happen, right? So that's part of positioning. So what is positioning that we are talking about since morning? I have 2 definitions that I want to give us. I have 2 definitions. Number one, position is the intentional placement of your intentional placement of your skill. That is number 1. Intentional placement of your skill. Your skill. That is number 1. Your business. Number 2, your relationship and your resources. Now, intentional placement of your skill, if you have one, of your business, of your relationship, and your resources. You know, these 4 key things are very, very important. Intentional placement of your skill, business, relation, and resources, where they create value and get greater value and generate greatest opportunity. You know, let's assume that you have your skill, your business, your relationship, and everything, and you are operating here, and you understand that this place is not favorable, and then you now push all these things, you now push it to this place because you know that some people, they are here. So intentional placement of your skill, your business, your resources, your relationship, you move them. You move those things and you move them here. Why? Because you understand that they can be fruitful here, but they may not be fruitful here. Are you getting it, sir? So intentional placement of your skill, your business, your relationship, your resources, and your result where they can create the greatest value and generate greatest opportunity. Intentional placement of your skill, your business, your relationship, your resources to where they can generate value and where they can expose them to greatest opportunity. That is what we call positioning. Elon Musk understand this, and he grew up in South Africa. He knew. So he moved from South Africa, he went to Canada. From Canada, he went to US. He doesn't go to any town in US. He went to Silicon Valley because he knows that what he wanted to build can only be effective in a certain area. Are we getting now? There's some business that you cannot do in other part of Lagos, in other part of Nigeria than Lagos. And if you don't understand that, if you start that business in another part, you may not be successful. So, intentional placement of your skill, if you have that skill, your business, your relationship, your resources, intentional placing them in a strategic location that can guarantee success and expose your business, everything to opportunity. That is what we call positioning. Let me summarize it. Position is intentional placement of yourself where you create the greatest value and generate the greatest opportunity. Intentional placement of yourself. Intentional placement of yourself where you can generate value and then expose yourself to greatest opportunity. That is positioning. That is positioning. And every builder understands this. They understand that without positioning, the business may suffer. They understand that if you don't position, the business may be suffer. So you understand that positioning is the key. Every business, they know that. That's why you see some business, when they started having some money, they are in Nigeria, but when they started getting some they just go to another location. Why? Because they understand that they can have leverage with that location. So they don't rely on what they are doing now. There's some business that if you conquer Lagos, you already conquer Nigeria. Why? Because the center of everything that you want to do regarding that business is concentrated in Lagos. And if you can do it in Lagos, you can do it elsewhere. So for instance, now if you are doing elevator business, if you are not in Lagos, you are not in Abuja, I don't think you are doing the business. Why? Because people that buys elevator, they are basically in Lagos, Abuja, and very few people in Port Harcourt. So those are the three locations that you can say you can make a sales. So if you want to start that kind of business and you start it somewhere maybe somewhere in Ondo State, how many people will buy what you are selling? So strategic positioning is placement of your skill, your business, your relationship, your resources where that matters and where it can generate value. That is it. So begin to think, what do you have? What skill do you have now? What skill do you have now? What is the business that you are currently doing? Are you in the right place to do that business? Are you in the right place to do that business? What is the relationship? You know, some of us, we need to be intentional about building relationship because you understand that this relationship, there's something that can come out of it. And some of us, we need to understand that we need to manage some relationship because you are strategically placing yourself. There are some people that you work with, you don't need to collect money. Even if you are an artisan, you don't need to collect money. You know that these people, what you really need from them is more than money. All you need from them, maybe they need to grant you access. Do you know this person? Oh, I know him. He's my boy. And from that one, people will be just carrying contract give you. Why? Because someone have already give you access. But some people, they are so myopic, someone that they're supposed not to collect money from, they collect money from the person and the person will not give them the access. So you need to understand that some relationship, you need to manage it. Even if it's toxic, you need to manage that relationship. Why? Because there's some things that will come out of that relationship that only yourself cannot get out of it. That is what we call positioning. Now, what is the formula of Acess? Effort, fission. Fission is our pillar 1 of C. You understand, right? Fission, we derive fission from our pillar 1, C. Fission plus effort. So effort is the preparation. Fission plus effort multiplied by ecosystem. That is positioning. Ecosystem is equals to access. Now, let me explain this. For you to have access, you need to understand that you need to have a vision. You cannot just be working without direction. Life doesn't work that way. You need to have a vision. What do you want to become in life? What do you want to do? How do you want to make money? How much do you want to make? You need to understand those things down. Some of us say we want to become someone. We never take time to write down what we want to become. And if you don't write those things down, okay, if you want to create a business, how large, how big is your business? Write those things down. Go to every details. As you are going to every small details, you'll be getting more understanding about what you want to build. That is vision. Now, effort. Effort is the preparation that you put to your vision. Then, when I now say that positioning is the strategic placement of your skill, your business. So those two things now, this is your capacity. This is your internal capacity. Internal capacity. You are building capacity here. And then this ecosystem is the soil. Now, the vision of every banana, no, let me say every corn is to grow and have a cob, right? So vision plus effort. So you are building capacity, then you now plant it in the soil, and then soil will now give access to another cob right there. So let's say you are planting tuber now. Your tuber, everything is here. Then you plant it in a very good soil, and then it becomes a yam tuber. You know, in I think in Matthew 10, the parable of sower. In Matthew, I forgot the chapter. So the sower was sowing different seed. Some fell into the thorn, some fell on top of the rock, some fell in the good soil, right? So that is the prototype of a good positioning. Those that fell on the thorn and those that fell on the good, like, not that the seed is not different. They are the same seed, but where they fell into determine the outcome, right? So you may have good intention, you may have a good skill, your business proposal may be one of the best, your business idea may be one in town, but if it doesn't fall into the right location as a positioning asset, you may not get adequate reward from that business. So if you are a fashion designer where people don't wear clothes, do you know you are not doing the right? You are doing, it's a good business. Fashion designer is a good business, right? But when you are doing it where people don't wear clothes, do you know you don't market to your business, right? You need to look for what they use. So many of us, we need to think, this business that I'm about to create, am I in the right location to do this business? Sometimes we fell in love with what we are doing. We never fell in love with what people buy from us. And we need to study what people need even before we create our business. What are the things that people need? Sometimes if I like to sell clothes now, but people don't wear clothes. It's not about what I like, it's about what people like. The business is about demand. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. The business is about demand, what they love. If you want to make money, forget about yourself. Forget about what you like. Sometimes what you like is not what they like. And if you focus on what you like, you may not sell. So that is strategic positioning. Now let's go to 4 dimensions of positioning. This one is the key, please. Write it down. 4 dimensions of positioning. At the core of position, which is number 1, is called preparation. I call it PPPT. PPPT. 4 dimensions of positioning. PPPT. 4 dimensions of positioning is the key. Number 1 is preparation. If you want to position, you prepare. Preparation. I call it position within. You know, it is not good to be exposed when you lack capacity. Capacity, exposure without capacity cannot be sustained. We have many people that blew online, they blew as a result of what they did. And they don't last. Why? Because they don't have capacity to sustain the exposure that they have. Now, you understand that you want to position yourself somewhere. But before you position your business, before you position your skill, before you start building relationship, before your resources go outside, the first thing that you need to do is to build capacity. Because you build capacity within. That is called preparation. If you want to become a business owner and you want your business to be big someday, you begin to read books about business. What are you doing? What are you doing to yourself? It's the capacity you build within. It's the capacity that you build within. And if you don't build capacity, you may not be able to sustain the success if they come. So capacity is the first thing. What are you building? Capacity. External positioning without internal preparation produce temporary success. Opportunity do not change people. It refills them. When opportunity comes, opportunity can open the door for you. But it is the capacity that keeps you inside the room. People can point to, oh, that's my daughter, that's my son. Okay, give her the job. If you lack capacity, you cannot maintain the job. Someone can say, okay, that is my younger brother, give him the contract. If you lack capacity, you can never sustain in that business. So before you position yourself, before you position your business, ensure that you prepare that your business for where you are going. Why? Because you know what you are projecting. Then you prepare that your business for that thing. So that when your business gets to where you wanted to position it to, you are going to sustain. You are not going to have a very temporary success. You are going to have a sustained success. So number one is preparation. Now, if you want to know, preparation creates an extension of this one. Preparation creates capacity. Preparation creates capacity. Capacity creates positioning. Position creates access. And access creates opportunity. Preparation creates capacity. Capacity creates positioning. Positioning creates access. Access creates opportunity. Now, if you don't have preparation, you cannot have capacity. If you don't prepare, you don't have capacity for it. That is it. If you don't prepare, you cannot have capacity for it. And you need to understand that without preparation, there's no capacity. We are coming to this. So we have so many examples in this. We have so many examples, but you need to understand that preparation is the first one. Number two, place. That is place. Place. This one is position, location, position. Location, positioning. No, this one is positioning within. This one is inside of you. Inside your, it may be you, it may be business, it may be resources, it may be how you want. No, you know, some people, there are people who have been giving them feedback. You used to get angry quickly. You used to get angry quickly. And this guy wanted to position himself within the network of high network individuals. And these people, at the slightest of things, they can say, no, I'm not doing it again. Because they have so much experience. They can study, they can scan you within 5 minutes. Those people, based on the wealth of experience that they have, within 5 minutes, they know what you are capable of. And people will go and say, you need to get angry. So instead of you prepare yourself before you market yourself. Prepare. You know, it is easy to market, but do you have a good product? So prepare. Now, place. The place is, the builder does not merely choosing location, they choose ecosystem. Now, place is location positioning. Location positioning. You know, where do you want to do that thing? Place. Where is that company? Where do you want to raise that children? What do you want them to know out of life? You know, where you grew up has a very predominant effect in how you think. Now, And then people understand that there's some places that you dare not raise your children. There's some places that you dare not do your business because the business may have a natural death. So place is very, very important. It's part of positioning. And then you need to understand that if some place is not working again, you need to move. There's some job that you need to quit. There's some job that you need to even let it go. The job that you have been doing for the past 10 years, you have nothing to show for it. No car, nothing, still have rent. Things is not moving. No, time cannot heal that business. Time cannot heal that job. So you are relying on, okay, if I should stay longer. No, if you are staying longer, the longer you stay, the worse it's become. That is place. You need to understand that. And you need to understand that, does your current place increase your value sources or not? If not, change. You need to understand that. Does your current environment increase your assets? People that you are mingle with every day, do they increase your assets? So that is place, your current place. And number 3 is people. That is relationship positioning. Relationship positioning. I spoke about this the other time. There's some relationship, even it may be toxic, but you need to endure it. There's some people that they live with the family that so-called, maybe they were adopted, they maltreat them, but they keep enduring that relationship. Why? Because they understand that if they don't stay with those people, they may not have access to go to school. They understand that if I should lose these people, the chances that my life will get better is 0. So let me endure this hardship so that later I can benefit from this relationship. There's some business that you do, you just want to do that business to get this one done so that what comes out after you prove yourself is more than enough, right? You know, there's some business that you do with very little margin. Why? Because you know that business, for the fact that you can do it with that little margin, you can place your skill, you can place your business in a strategic location. And that's why you do it. So you need to understand that managing relationship is very, very important. And then you know that no relationship is wasted. So when you know how to manage relationship, you know how to position yourself, because every relationship has a tendency to be too hard to you. So relationship transfer more than information. They transfer perspective, standard, capacity. Every great builder stood by and someone standing by them. You know, you need to know that who you work with, who you move with, you have tendency to become one of them. So the fool move with the fools. The wise one move with the wise ones. Where are you strategically placing yourself? You need to understand that who you follow on social media matters. If you don't understand that people that you follow on social media, people that you are feeding from their content matter. And then you need to understand that if the content that you are feeding on is not adding to you, you need to change them. You need to change those people. If you need money now and you are seeing comedy content, you have not started. Because the reason why you are seeing comedy content is not adding, is not solving your problem. So comedy content should solve your problem. And if comedy content does not give you money, you need to change the content that you are listening to. So what do I need should be the number one. Okay, which content do I need to feed on? What do I need? Do I need money? Yes. Do I need to feed on content that will increase my knowledge on how to make money? Yes. Some people need money, but they still keep feeding on content that doesn't increase their knowledge about money. And when you now release a content about money, they will not come for it, but they need money. They prefer to beg for money rather than listen to content of money. There's something that happened in office, I think this week, yes, this week. A guy came to the office and we are speaking. He said, hey, if I have 25 million, my life is settled. I said, okay, your life is settled. And we want to start WealthX on the street. And I told the guys, okay, you have 25 million, your life is settled. He said, yes. I said, okay, can you give me a breakdown of how you are going to spend the 25 million? Can you give me a breakdown? He said, I'm a plumber. I will set up 5 million for the business to selling plumbing material. I said, okay. I have house in outskirts of Lagos. I'll take 10 million to build the house. I told him, I said, you have failed already. Someone gave you 25 million. You want to use 20%. You want to use 20% to start a business that will give you more money, and you are using 40% to build a house, the house that cannot make you any money, right? I did not let him finish the remaining one. I told him, you are failed already. So sitting beside him was another woman. That woman is a security. And I asked her, madam, with 10 million, what are you going to do? I said, I like to cook. I will rent an apartment 2 million from the 10 million. And I'll rent a shop 2 million from the 10 million. Then I like my staff to stay close to where my shop is. Then I will rent apartment 1.5 million. I said, madam, you have failed. You know, sometimes we mix emotion, we mix it with what we are doing. We never understand how money works. I asked her, I said, madam, do you understand that food business is one of the most competitive business ever? So the food business that you want to start, you are the only one that know that your food is sweet. Does people testify that your food is sweet? So you need to understand that your food has a demand before you have every investment on the business. So many of us, we understand that we need to know what we need about our business before we go. So the last one is timing. Timing. I say four dimension of positioning. Number one is preparation. This one is position within. You need to prepare yourself. And number two is place. That is location positioning. And number three is people, relationship positioning. And number four is timing. You know, you can take time to prepare. You can take time to build. You can take time to expand. But you need to know the right time to move. Everything has a time. You need to know the right time to move. Some business is better you start it when you are 20, when you are 30, you are 40, not when you are 70. Why? Because you can push them with your strength at that time. Right decision at the wrong time is equal to 0, because you make a right decision but the time was wrong. So as a positioning asset, you need to understand that right positioning, right information at the wrong time is bad. So you need to understand that when you are moving in life, you are preparing and you are expanding, right? So when you are preparing, this is where you are. But this place you need to move. You need energy. And then here you are expanding and then you are following the same procedure again. So you need to understand when to move and when to be on the cruise. So the right time is as important as the right information, because if you disseminate right information at the wrong time, it's equals to disaster. So everybody know how to move. So let me give you another framework before we call it a day. Let me give you another one. Place. P.L.A.C.E. That's part of the four dimension of positioning. And number one is preparation. Preparation. And number two, locate. Locate. Number three, align. Contribute. And then expand. Now, the place framework shows that expand is where you are going. This is where your reward is. This is where you are going. Then you need to have here in your mind your lasting place that you want, whatever that you want to become is in this expound. So you have this in mind. Then with this one in your mind, you begin to prepare. With this in your mind, you begin to locate where this thing can function, right? Okay, let's say I want to expand. I want to create a business, right? Let me put my business there. Let's say elevator business. Now, this is my elevator business. That's where I want to expand to. And this is where I am currently, right? This is where I want to go, right? Can you see? Now, the first thing for me is to prepare. I need to prepare. What kind of business do I want to do? It's elevator. I have that one in my mind. Fine? Right. Then locate. You need to locate the right place for the business to flourish. Okay, let's say Lagos. Right? Lagos. Align. So this one, you need to align yourself. Who are the titans? Who are the people that can give me the access for this business? So you begin to align yourself with the real estate developers, the contractors, the engineers, the architects. Why? Because you understand that if you don't align yourself with the people that can get it done, you will not do it. Okay? So you align with people. Let's say architects, right? Architects. Then you do what? You contribute. So you know the business. This is the business I wanted to start. Then you move to you prepare yourself. Number one. Number two, you locate the place, Lagos. Number three, you align yourself. Architect, real estate developer, high net worth individuals. Then you contribute. This is where you now start your business. And when you start your business, then you expand. Right? So prepare yourself for what you wanted to do. Anything that you want to do in life, prepare yourself for it. But know the end from the beginning. That's it. God knows the end from the beginning. So you too, you have to know the end from the beginning. Then you take inspiration from the end, so that whenever you are facing obstacle, the inspiration that you have taken from the end will motivate you in the presence. Now you locate where is the market. Some people, the business that you want to start doesn't need location. It needs online marketplace. Maybe you need to do Facebook advertisement, WhatsApp advertisement, TikTok advertisement. Even some business, you can only do well on TikTok. You cannot do well on Instagram. Some business can only do well on Facebook, cannot do well on TikTok. You need to understand the right place. Yes. And then some business, they don't do well on online, they do well on offline. And some business, they do well on offline, they don't do well on online. You need to understand it. Then you align. So once you have finished preparation, you locate, you align, you contribute, you expound. And some people will say, where do you get all this? Where do you get all this? So history has been showing us this over and over and over and over again. Right from the patriarch in the Bible more than 10,000 years ago up to now. It's still happening. Okay, let me show us one or two things. When you look at the life of Joseph moved from the pit. From where? From the pit. And then to where? To Potiphar. And from Potiphar to prison. And from prison to Pharaoh. P. So God is not changing the destination of Joseph. God is just changing his position. God is constantly changing the position. From the pit, he cannot meet Pharaoh. So, but from the pit, he can meet Potiphar. Now, if you are in the pit now, who is your Potiphar? Where is your Egypt? Are we getting it? Where is your Egypt? Who is your Potiphar? Even from Potiphar, he moved to prison. And from prison, he moved to Pharaoh. And don't forget, we did what? We did 4 dimensions of positioning. One of it is preparation. All this thing is preparing Joseph for Pharaoh. All these experiences is preparing Joseph for Pharaoh. Another damsel in the Bible, Esther. Esther has positioned herself long before the crisis happened in the land. And because she has strategically positioned herself, when the crisis occurred, she was able to arrest the situation. There was a point in a time in my life that I was doing Uber. Let me share this story because all the builders operating system, it came to me through reflecting on my journey, go through the Bible and other things. There was a point I was driving Uber. I drove Uber for like 6 months, and I realized that they are just sending me to, even sometimes to where I don't want to go. They send me there. I realized that if I want to really position myself, I need to change the narrative. Then I began to look for 2 places. Allocate airports, and allocate P.L.A.C.E, Ikoyi. So airport to P.L.A.C.E to airport. That's my route. I changed the narrative. Uber does not give me airport to P.L.A.C.E to, but I strategically position myself there. How? If I took a trip from P.L.A.C.E that crossed Milan Bridge, instead of leaving my app to take me to another place, I off my app, then I went straight to the airport to go and position myself there. Then from the airport, I ensure that the trip that I will take will cross the Milan Bridge, then I come back to P.L.A.C.E. That's how I strategically position myself. I have a strategy, I hand over the strategy to someone, and after 2 days, they can make the same result as I was making. And that positioning actually bets to other things. Another thing I want to show us, in early days in our elevator business, we are trying to locate where we are going to put our office. And as you know now, in Lagos, there are Lagos states. The people that are close to me, they know that. They say there's Lagos state. So we wanted to rent an office in Lagos. We understand that if we are to consider price, the office may not be in Lagos. But if we want to rent our office in Lagos, where I mean Lagos is Lekki 1, Fia, Ikoyi. So we just took courage. We rent the office apartment in a very highbrow area in Lagos. But because we choose to rent office at the concentrated area where the business is moving in Lagos, we are able to secure opportunity that can even pay our rent in less than a month. So some people say, why don't you rent office in so place? No, we didn't. But the money that we invested in the office, in less than a month, we secure a deal that can even pay that money and add extra. Why? Because we literally move the business to the center. And that's what we call positioning. So what are you doing right now? What are you doing that you can move from where it is? Maybe you are doing offline business, you need to move it to TikTok. Maybe you are doing offline business, you need to move it to Facebook. Maybe you are doing offline business, we need to move it to Instagram. Some people, they are even on Instagram, they need to start knocking on the door. Some people, their business will flourish in another state, not even Lagos state. You need to understand all these things. At a point in my life, I moved from Ibadan to Lagos. When my business crashed in Ibadan, I moved. Why? Because I understand that there's no so much opportunity for me to stay. So I need to move. So there's a story that I want to share with us, not only me. There's a guy in 2012. There's an app that they share photo app. In 2012, the app has 13 employees. 13 employees, zero revenue. Zero revenue. And then someone took $1 billion to buy it. How can you buy an app that's sharing only photo, only 13 employees, and you went there with $1 billion? And that's how Mark Zuckerberg bought Instagram in 2012. He bought Instagram, not that Instagram is making money, but he bought Instagram because he wants positioning. Facebook, as at that time, people knows it, but Facebook is bet on desktop, and then the attention is moving from desktop computer to smartphone, right? And then he knows that from desktop computer to smartphone, the more application you have on smartphone, the more dominant you become. So he saw that if people can share photo and people likes it, the chances of many people sharing photo is high. And these people, if I don't buy them now, they are going to go away. So he had 72 hours meeting with the owner. 72 hours meeting. Why? Because Yahoo wanted to buy it also. Yes. So he spent 72 hours with the founder and he gave them $1 billion and part of the shares that he has in Facebook. Then he bought it. That is what we call positioning. There's some things that you need to do for you to be say relevant. Because if you don't do that thing, you may not be relevant. In 2008, BlackBerry was the peak. If you don't have BlackBerry, you cannot tell me you are not elite if you don't have BlackBerry in 2008. But BlackBerry failed to position itself for whether Android or iOS, and their name was nowhere to be found today. Why? Because they lack positioning, they lack foresight. Yahoo did the same thing. Yahoo did not follow the same model. So we need to understand that positioning is the key. Every industry, if you don't position, there's a tendency for you to go away. So we are going to question and answer, but let me answer myself here. What if I fail? What if I position and fail? What if I lose security? What if I don't know anyone? Those are the questions that comes to your mind. What if I prepare and nothing happens? And what if I don't think about something there? So we are going to question and answer, and then if time permits, we can do diagnosis. But I think time has gone. But if time permits, we can do diagnosis. So do we have any question? Any question?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
For all what you are saying, God bless you. It means that in this world, people have to have handwork or vocational work more than education. People have to have handwork or vocational job work more than education, because handwork is very good now. People are demanding
Okay.
to get work, all type of work.
Okay.
But education, before you get employment, is very hard.
Mm-hmm.
How can somebody do it?
Thank you, sir.
I have two questions, please.
Two questions.
Yes, sir.
And the second question.
The second question is that you have talked about Joseph and Esther.
Okay.
I believe character also matter.
Okay.
If Joseph was dishonest, if he was not faithful, in spite of the accused, I believe God will not lifted him up. If he was dishonest, if he was unfaithful, he will not succeed. So I believe to have good character, fear of God also matter. That's a spiritual matter in people's life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. In the four dynamics of positioning, so if you can remember, we spoke about P, T. The first one is preparation, right? And we call preparation is position within. Right? So the character that you spoke about is under this preparation, position within. You have to prepare yourself for where you are going. Many people fail because they cannot prepare themselves. Many people fail because they cannot prepare themselves. So many people does not see some people here. The people they will mess up with the people that are supposed. We did some work that can make us millions. We didn't collect money. Do you know are we a fool? We are not a fool because that person can say, okay, these are my guys, and they can give us contracts that worth millions. So characters matter, just like you said, Daddy. But everything fall under this preparation. That's the first thing. Not only character, capacity, many things. Because without it, you cannot be rightfully positioned. And if you position yourself, you cannot sustain it. And the second question, you said that it's looking like vocational training, skill acquisition is the order of the day, right? Yes, that is it. Because our education system has failed. Our education system has failed, and then many people went through the school and they cannot even be able to do anything. That's why you see a civil engineering guy, he doesn't even know how to read drawing. You see a mechanic, they don't even know how to loose boats. If they want to loose a boat, they will be turning into the right side. Instead of, so the school system has failed and it's keep failing. Even what we experience in 20th century is going to be different from what we experience in 21st century. Even those people that are making money right now, they are not those that went to school. They are those that learn one or two skills or the other. There are people that learn how to code, how to prompt AI, how to do many things. They even make more money now. And that's why we are having some celebrities, Instagram celebrities, TikTok celebrities. The rule of money has changed, but people don't change. How to make money now is different. You have to understand the financial literacy of how to make money now. Because if you rely on go to school, get a certificate, get a job, you are going to make money, but when you are 35 years in that work, you realize that you waste your time. Why? Because you think that go to school, get a job can make money. You can only make money to feed your mouth when you get a job. But when you want to amass wealth for your generation, you need to build a business. I don't care how much you are making. Whether you are making 10 million naira in a month. We have some footballers that are making like 20 million naira every week. And after they left the service, after they stop playing ball, playing on the athlete, 2-3 years down the line, they are broke again. Why? Because without business, it is very difficult to sustain wealth. Any other question? Okay.
Please, sir, my question is: when you make mention of relocating from a state when the business did not function, you relocated from a state to Lagos. So I want to ask: is it that everybody, every fail, as in, does it mean that anybody that could not meet up the business or could not do well, is it that everybody lack preparation or position?
Okay. I would say that not having money is not the problem. Not having money is not the problem. But for the fact that you don't have money means that something is wrong. Are you getting it now? Not having money is not the problem. But for the fact that money is missing in my life or in your life means that there's an underlying issue that needs to be addressed. The main problem is not the money. But this thing has shifted many people's focus. They thought that the problem is money. No. The root cause, this is what people think is the problem. But this is what's actually the problem. This is what we don't see. It is the problem. But people now think that money is my problem. Have you ever seen some people that they gave money to? Maybe even some people they gave money to them I don't want to mention, to start business, do everything, and then after little time, they squandered the money, they came back to square one. Why? Because initially they thought money is the problem. And they have the money, but there's nothing to do with the money. Why? Because the underlying issue has not been resolved. You spoke about location. Why I moved from Ibadan to Lagos is because I know that there are many opportunities for me in Lagos than Ibadan. And then my business that I'm doing in Ibadan has already crashed. I have a truck, and the truck stopped working. Immediately Buhari entered there. My tipper has problem. I don't have money to revive the business. I sold my truck, and there was nothing for me. But I realized that there are more business in Lagos, there are more opportunity for me in Lagos than Ibadan. So what do I need to do? I need to move. Do I know where I'll stay that day? I don't know where I'll stay. I don't know where I'll stay. But when I got to Lagos, that very day, I dropped my bag in an apartment, and then after 2 weeks, I inherited 10-month free apartment. If I don't move, will I have the apartment? No. So you need to understand, you need to be self-aware where I am now, what I'm doing now. Some people, you are doing some job, you are going to job, you are waking up early in the morning, you are coming back late in the night for up to 10 years, and you cannot even, there's nothing dramatically happen in your life, and you are thinking time will solve. No, time will not solve it. You need to change. So the problem is that people lack capacity to make money, and that they will now think money is the problem, and capacity to make money is the problem. See, to make money is easy. Just know things that you can do to make money. So instead of you to be running after money, you are running after money. This is money. There's something that money now will be running after you. Why? Because you already do what people are like. Now, for Dangote now, Dangote is not running after money. Why? Because he has done something that makes money to run after him. Even if you say, I don't want money, people say, please take this money, give me the product. Right? No, there are some things that you can sell. Even your enemy have to buy from you because you are the one that know how to do it better. If your enemy is hungry and you are selling food, and then you are the one that know how to sell that food most, if he cannot come, he will send someone. And if you send that money, you don't get the money. You get the money from the person. Everybody getting money, they are solving one problem or the other. But people think that it's when they have the money that can solve problem. No, you solve the problem first, then money will come. You solve the problem first. Think about problem. See, many of us, we think that we cannot think or we have money. No, any thinking that you think, any thought that you think, when money is already in your pocket, is a fake thing. So the original thinking is when you don't have money, you document it down so that when the money comes, you begin implementation. See, when you have money and you start thinking, all the thinking that you will come at that point is a fake. How to buy this, how to buy this, how to buy this will be coming to your mind. But when you don't have money, you are planning your business, you are planning some things. So that's the real thing. You document it. When money comes like this, the second day you don't have any money in your hand again, but you already execute your plan. So people thought money is the problem. Like what I shared initially, the woman thought she's doing security, and I bet she cannot collect like 100,000 from that security or something. But I told her, if you have 10 million, what are you going to do? He said, I will rent apartment 2 million. I will rent shop 2 million, and I will rent apartment for my staff 1.5 million. That is 3.5 million gone from 10 million without doing anything. So and I told her, please, how much left? She cannot even allocate a percentage to what she's spending. So many people, when you don't have money, it's like a sickness. When you're having headache now, so the problem is not the headache. There's something that caused the headache. And when you go to the doctor, doctor will not address the headache. They will address what is happening, what is causing the headache. And when they address those things, within 5-10 minutes, the headache is gone. Why? Because they address the root cause. Any other question?
Please, there's one thing I see. And all those experience in life. All those people that succeed in business, secular work, other work, they take risk. Why is it that some people do not take risk in their life and fail? Because I remember I was in Shakama, I labor for cement and nobody helped me. When I get work as a sales manager in Shakama, people discourage me. Everybody must have left that work. I said, God, if you help me, I will not cheat you. And I succeeded working for 10 years and I have a lot of...
Okay.
What caused the people to make...
Yes, we already discussed that.
Fear.
We already discussed that in our pillar 2. Builder move without certainty. That's in our pillar 2 question. You know, in move, you have to move without certainty. You don't need to see everything. You don't need to see all the. You don't need to see all the. You know, even in Genesis 12, God told Abraham, "Go out of their father's house to the land that I will show you." Now, God has not shown Abraham the land, but he asked him to move. Right? So that's telling us that the faith that we are talking about in church, it is not what people practice. Faith is not as perfect. Faith is moving when you don't have all the information. Faith is acting when you just know small things. So everybody that we call the father of faith now, they are doing one thing or the other when they don't have the full experience of what they are doing. Even when God asked Abraham to go and kill his son, Abraham went regardless. He doesn't even tell anyone that can change his plan. That is faith. So everything we call faith now is risk. I'm going back to it's risk. Is it not risk to leave your comfort zone and go to somewhere that you don't know? It's risky. But everybody, familiarity has caused many people to be poor. Familiarity has caused many, because they just want to stay in their environment. They just want to stay. Labora is good. The house rent is 500,000. Let me just stay here. Let me just stay here. Let me just stay. They don't want to move. I say, okay, let's go to this place. No. Yeah, it's okay. So every business have their own. It doesn't mean that you should move recklessly. Risk does not mean that you will not calculate, you not look. See, you have to understand that you cannot know all the answers. But people wait many years because they want to know all the answers before they move. That's why they don't move. So, but when you have a confusion, you know, like from A to Z, you know A, B, C, D. Okay, work the A, B, C, D. If you work the A, B, C, D, the remaining one will unfold. That's why I said the motion sensor light. I think I shared about the analysis about the motion sensor light. The motion sensor light, if you understand it, it will not move until you get under the, you know, the solar street light now. The solar street light. Yes. The solar street light want you to move before it shine. So if you don't move, it will not shine. And that is how destiny is.
I say, why somebody sweep the light?
Are we getting now? So it shows that in life, you need to understand that if you don't move, no clarity. There's no confidence, there's no clarity. And the clarity is the byproduct of action. It's the byproduct of movement. If you don't move, nothing else happens. Even in this our studio, when we started, we didn't start like this. And this is not the end. But as we are keeping going on, some things are changing. Some things are changing. There's some things that we have, something we have. There's some issue that we have with our audio. There's some issue we have with our network. But as we are doing it, we'll be getting better at it. And we get it done. That's it. Any other question before we... No question. So, the next week, we are going to go on our fourth pillar, which are called build. Build. Access alone is not okay until you use your asset to build something. Many people get access to $100, but because they lack vision, they cannot access that relationship and build something out of it. Right? You can get access to where the thing is matter, but if you don't have build in your operating system, you waste the access. Right? Many people find themselves in Lagos that people call the land of milk and honey, the land of opportunities. They have access, but they fail to build. Why? Because there's something missing in their life. So next week we are going to speak about build. So in our fourth pillar, what we have seen, the pillar number 1 is what? See. Number 2, move. Number 3, position. What do we call it? Build out operating system. The operating system on your phone is Android, and whatever your phone did is respecting the Android operating system. Without Android operating system, your phone cannot work. The operating system on your phone is iOS. Every app needs to respect the iOS. Without respect to iOS, your phone cannot work. So as we build this 7 pillar, build what? After build, own. After own, multiply. And after multiply, legacy, right? Legacy. So this is the 7 operating system that every builder needs to master. And if they master this 7 operating system, they are going to build not only successful business, not only successful career, they are going to build a legacy for their children and their children's children. So see you in our next episode. Stay blessed by the blessed. Bye.